Welcome to ASSAT Analysts, the debate game show where the points definitely matter and we take things way too seriously. My name is Josh Johnson, and I'm joined here with my roommates, Nathaniel Jackson.
Yo.
And Kyle Jennis.
Howdy.
Stay tuned to find out who truly is the king of pulling random facts and arguments right out of their ass.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of ASSAT Analysts. Today is our bullshitter episode where we will be discussing what is the best century to have been born in. And our special guest, Travis, here is going to try and figure out which one of us pulled these facts right out of our booty. Because I've already hit my word for the episode. I can't say any more words.
Okay. That's the name of this episode.
I mean,
okay, whatever.
I hit the word. I can't say any more word.
So I picked the 2nd century AD, which is year 101 to 200.
Nice.
Dadgummit.
Just turn the volume off.
It's on. Oh, it wasn't. Now it is.
So I picked the 1600s or the 17th century.
I picked the 15th century, which is 1401 to 1500.
All right, so I picked the 2nd century for a couple reasons. One, it is a time of immense philosophy and is actually, in ancient times, one of the most peaceful time periods, or one of the most peaceful centuries. There wasn't a lot of warring and battles going on until the very end of this century. The first 86 years were a time period where there were 5 kings, known as the 5 good kings, or 5 good emperors, actually. And they were all leaders of Rome, the last of which was Marcus Aurelius. And after he died, there was then the 5 tyrants that then started a lot of wars. There's also, currently this is home to time to the most peaceful time in the Han Dynasty in China. They were kind of spreading a lot, spreading further west, and it was actually a decently peaceful time where they were under one regime, and that did start to fall apart in 186. So the back
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. There was a decent amount of war. After Marcus Aurelius died, which was in 168, things declined until the last 10 or so years of the century. There was quite a bit of war. But before then, it was a time period where there was a lot of rich culture, philosophy, and art was growing. It's a time period known as the Classical Era, or the Epoch, E-P-O-C-H. And it is a time in which Rome was really at like the height of its rule. So I just, to me, the ability to have been like in kind of that Mediterranean basin area where, you know, philosophy and mathematics was really quickly growing. It was a time, you know, rich in discovery and learning and religion. So, yeah. That's why I picked it.
Good stuff.
Great
Josh,
stuff.
why did you pick your century?
Well, let's go chronologically. Why don't you go next?
Ooh, okay.
On the spot.
I would also like to point out that Travis is the first guest we've had that's ever taken notes.
He's astute. He's coming prepared. Yeah. So the reason I picked the 15th century, one of the big reasons is it's the start of the Renaissance. You really start to see that happen with the fall of the Byzantine Empire, the long-reigning Byzantine, and the start of the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. You have basically just like this flourishment of art, inventions, a lot of which was associated with Leonardo da Vinci, with the list upon list upon list of inventions, gadgets, what have you, that he developed and everything like that. Another cool thing was the European exploration first took root towards the end of this century. Obviously, you have Christopher Columbus's voyage to North America and what they call the West Indies. You also have Vasco da Gama's voyages to the Cape of Good Hope in Africa at the tip end of Africa and to India as well. So you start to see them venture out and realize, oh man, there's all these cool places to go explore. Let's go see what these new worlds have to offer. A couple important inventions outside of the ones Leonardo da Vinci developed that I noted. The first modern rifles were developed, which although now have been developed and used for lots of wars, unfortunately, is still a notable invention nonetheless. You also have the modern printing press from Johannes Gutenberg, which I think was about the 1440s, if I remember correctly. You also do have public banks, so storing money and everything like that becomes now in central hubs. You also actually have the development of psychiatric hospitals, which, granted, were probably not the best getting started because they did not treat people with mental disabilities or handicaps well. And unfortunately, history does show that. Sorry.
To be fair, science didn't really understand mental disabilities.
That
and
is
mental
also
health
true.
at the time.
Yeah.
Well, you can fix it with an exorcism.
Yeah. Give you a lobotomy too. That'll help. Also, one of my
Get those demons out of your body.
also one of my personal favorites, Scotch whiskey. Scotch whiskey, baby. But yeah, it was a big time of like you said, art and everything was flourishing. It was just a big, everyone's like, hey, we've got these new ideas, let's develop them and everything like that. And I just imagine there'd be a lot of cool culture to see with this flourishment of scientific advancement and everything like that. Yeah.
Cool.
So I picked the 1600s, and this was again a time of scientific exploration and of art and culture. At the beginning of the 1600s, the Edo period in Japan began, where the Tokugawa shogunate and the 300 daimyos took rule over Japan and started kind of an isolationist foreign policy around that. But what brought with that was immense peacetime and a focus on arts and culture. It was one of the most peaceful times that Japan has seen ever. Going into Europe, you see a lot of scientific discoveries. This is when Galileo, it had been kind of previously discovered, but was able to kind of prove the solar system understanding of what our galaxy or what our solar system looks like, that it revolves around the sun, and spherical Earth was discovered. And then there was also it was when gravity was discovered by Isaac Newton, and he went into kind of the physics, and the scientific method was invented during this time. So it was a time of relative peace. I mean, there were wars that went on, but there was a time of relative peace in a lot of the world. And cultural and scientific discoveries that have changed the world that we know.
Cool. So, what time period were you again?
1600s.
So,
1600s.
Okay, 1600s. Okay, there was a lot of piracy in the end of the 1600s, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You also wasn't the first American colony founded in the 1600s as well? Yeah, it was Jamestown, I think, in 1620 or something, wasn't it?
Maybe I'm genuinely not great with American history.
Yeah, American history is not necessarily my forte either. That would sound about right though, being somewhere in that time, because it wasn't. Yeah, because the French Indian Wars were early 1700s. Yeah, I think that would make sense. Yeah, because by the 1800s we had already expanded out west and were
Out of the American Revolution.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that would make sense to be in the kind of mid 1600s.
Okay.
But I do know that like the actual kind of Americas were discovered much earlier than that. But that was also they landed in South America, and then the Spanish kind of took over that.
Mm-hmm.
So and that was like late 1400s, early 1500s that
Yeah.
kind of all that happened. So by this time, it would make sense that we had landed further north and were establishing
Okay.
communities.
Nice. Travis, what questions do you have for us, the hosts?
I think I'm ready to pick.
Already?
Wow. 10 minutes in.
I have questions.
What you got,
So
buddy?
I'm not ready to pick. I had questions. What was your time period again?
1400s.
1400. So
1401 to 1500.
okay, 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
Should have asked my question before Josh went because I had like 3 questions for you, and then Josh went, and then I was
Specifically
all
for
focused.
Kyle.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I was all focused on Josh
Yeah.
because Josh went.
He talked about the first rifles. Does that jog your memory?
Does not.
Yeah.
Printing
Obviously, they were more
press,
akin
I
to
remember
probably
the
like
printing press,
psychiatric hospital,
Scotch.
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 There's also the I guess during that time, one of the things he mentioned was exploring the like
Starting
the
to-
south of Africa and finding the
Oh,
Indies.
fine. Finding
the question
India,
I was
yeah.
gonna ask you.
What's up?
What wars and violence was going on during the 15th century?
The 100 Years' War did come to an end about like the 1430s or 40s, probably about then. Obviously, like I said, you have the fall.
1432.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't remember specific year, but it was like 14. I knew it was 1430s.
Yeah, Nathaniel's a substitute.
Yeah. He just taught that
FYI.
today. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it was probably left over from like like I said, the Byzantine conflicts. Obviously, you do have I don't know if there were any conflicts like within, because obviously the Incan and I think it was Aztec empires were like founded around this time. I think it was the middle of the century, and obviously by the end they start to reach their height and everything. By the time the 1500s roll around, everyone starts exploring, then they fall to disease and everything like that. But
Thanks to us.
huh?
Thanks to us.
Yeah, we suck.
Go Europeans.
Yeah. Oh, it's the chair. It's creaking.
Yeah, sorry,
It's okay.
it's an old chair. Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Who were the other emperors? I guess you mentioned Marcus. Is it Aurelius or
Marcus Aurelius. Yes,
Okay.
he was the last one. He's by far the most notable. Genuinely, the other ones I didn't know how to pronounce.
I mean, that's fair.
I just never heard of them, so I didn't bother
Yeah.
reading a ton about him.
What were some cool things Marcus did?
He actually was a philosopher, which is actually very interesting. He won some small battles and skirmishes with some northern tribes. They weren't Neanderthals. That's a lot earlier. I'm trying to remember what they were called.
The Goths or the
Visigoths?
the Visigoths, and then
No,
the Gauls. I think we're up there too.
I think it was the Gauls. But he was well known in battle, but he actually wrote a lot and was renowned philosopher for his time, which is why a lot of people looked up to him and loved him as an emperor. It's also very interesting because the Chinese during the Han Dynasty, I think it was like 130 or 140 something, they actually invented paper. So this is when instead of, keeping history through paintings and stone tablets and everything, we actually started to get scrolls and actual,
Write stuff down.
written, languages. This is also when the Hindu number system was created. So you can actually see the impact of Roman mathematics and everything spreading to the rest of the world, and actually see the growth of math and science and philosophy.
Nice.
So
Oh,
very
actually-
So that's wait, the Hindu number system.
Hindu number system was created I think it was like 130 or 140, something like that.
Okay.
It's different. It's obviously different from the Arabic one, which we use.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but I guess they were.
Do you know any of the characters?
Not at all.
I was
dude.
gonna say, do you
Yeah,
know how
Yeah, I don't necessarily expect you to
No.
have looked that
Yeah,
in depth
No,
for
I
it.
was
but-
just
Not at
curious.
all.
I was just curious. It's okay.
Not even a little bit. I kind of wish I did. I might look it up
Yeah.
after this, but no.
I remembered there was one battle. I think it was a sea battle, which was one of the first battles to use like cannons in my century, which also notable. I guess cannons on boats. That's a thing that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started it. We did it first.
You also caused piracy because of that.
Yeah, that's true. We did start piracy.
Well, I mean, piracy
Which I'm cool with because
existed,
pirates are cool.
Yeah, I mean, piracy.
shout out to Jack
Piracy
Sparrow.
has existed ever since there have been ships.
Yes.
You know, it's just
Yeah. The
It was
form
more
of piracy
efficient.
and how
Yeah,
sea battles and navy actually became a lot more.
naval warfare
Yeah.
was improved by
Yes.
the use of cannon fire.
yep.
There's no
Josh.
longer lots of boats and just
Yeah,
pull
just-
up on land and fight,
exactly.
or jump from boat to boat and fight.
Yeah.
But- Sorry, what were you saying, Kyle?
Hey Josh, you did mention Galileo. Do you know any other astronomers that were? Oh, phone fell asleep. Do you know any other astronomers that were around the same time that also studied like the solar system, like the idea of the solar system?
I mean, Da Vinci did some work on it, like just on like
Mhm.
literally everything.
Yeah.
But that was earlier. Let me see. I don't have anything in my notes about that. I didn't focus too much on.
Astronomy.
Yeah,
One of the most
was-
important parts
yeah.
of that time period.
Yeah.
there were but there was also. I mean, there were a lot of things that came out during that time because they also looked
Yeah.
into, medical history and kind of towards the end of that era.
You still had a lot of exploration. I feel like that's one of the big things, like first colonizations and everything like that.
Although I kind of let this out, and I probably shouldn't hide this. At the end, there was a massive plague outbreak,
Oh, cool. Lovely.
like 180 something.
Nice.
Not
by-
the bubonic plague, but it was a plague that is actually why Marcus
Yeah.
Aurelius died. But that's okay.
Rip. Never forget.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So that's how he died.
Yes.
That's how he died.
Plague.
Thanks to the wonderful Chinese.
Woo! And it was when?
It was like 186. It was late 180s.
And that's about the same time you said the Han dynasty kind of
Yeah,
started to
that's-
fall.
Yeah, well, they didn't fall. The Han Dynasty survived a lot longer than that, but they were no longer under one regime. It split off. It splintered off,
okay.
and there was a power struggle. And so they kind of throughout that power struggle were kind of that's when war happened there, and the plague kind of that birth at this time started there, and then worked its way west during raids and all that stuff. Again, don't confuse it with the bubonic plague because it wasn't.
No, that was more like, I don't remember is it bubonic or bubonic?
I think it's I don't know.
I don't know, data.
Yeah.
You know,
Tomato,
Um,
tomato.
yeah,
but
tomato,
that
potato.
was
That was more like
the 17th century during the 1600s. Because that's when I think last time we did this topic, I did it was during the time period I did last time. Isn't that what I did last time?
No, I think you did the 1500s.
Okay, maybe I did. So it was during the 1500s.
Oh, okay.
It was during whatever century I did last time we did this topic, which was not recorded and released. Sorry, sorry, fans.
Yeah.
Sorry to all of our
It was
listeners.
literally the first episode we ever did.
Yeah.
That
That will never be heard.
Literally.
Yeah, I think that was the 1500s.
That sounds right.
Because it was
Does anyone else have any other questions, comments, grievances, hats? No?
It might have been earlier than that. No, I think it might have been like the
Did I pick her? I don't remember. It was during whatever time period I did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember which time period you did.
I
but
don't either. I think I did.
I do.
I thought it was earlier than that.
You do? What did I do? Did I do the 1300s?
Maybe I think that's what it was.
I think I did 1300s.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what it was because it would have been earlier than
It was earlier than
guns
mine.
having been a thing. And if rifles were invented and cannons were a thing in
When was the light bulb invented? It was like 1452 or
I don't know,
something
Kyle.
like that.
The light bulb?
Yes. The light bulb was invented. So I tried to make, because I was the BSer when we recorded that episode, and I tried to make the argument that the light bulb was invented in whatever century I had chosen, but realistically it was 20 years after that century ended.
Oh, okay.
I thought, I'm thinking of the Thomas Edison light bulb. That's why. Not the first like actual just light bulb. So then I think I did 1400s because when was the Thomas Edison light bulb invented?
that was like
That was-
1800s.
yeah.
It was like 18 or 1900s.
I don't remember what I picked.
I don't know, but that was
Do we want?
Nathaniel was the bullshitter for that one.
Yes.
I was.
And
Yeah.
just tried to make a wild claim. I think it was
Yes.
more than 20 years after the period that you chose, but it might have been whatever. It doesn't matter. It might have been the 1700s that you picked.
I think it was
But-
because I like pirates and I wanted to talk about pirates.
Yeah.
Our
All right. Well, let's go ahead and we're all going to write down our guesses for who it is. Again, our guess is the only one that matters. The other three hosts are just guessing for fun. We will reveal who we all guess for at the beginning of Friday's episode. So we will see you guys Friday.
bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to join us on the next episode where we will continue to debate as good friends do. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube and stay up to date on all things asshat and to participate in polls and activities throughout the week based on the themes of the upcoming episodes.
We also started a Patreon for those of you who are interested in showing your support in a more direct way. On our Patreon, we have a ton of bonus content, including tier lists, loser dinners, and bonus podcast episodes.
We want to continue making content that makes you think, smile, and especially laugh. And the best way that you guys can help us do that, leave a like or a comment, download and share all these episodes with your friends and family members who you think would enjoy our tomfoolery, our shenanigans, and all those other crazy words that encapsulate our content.